I hope you're holding up well in this time of isolation. Now we know just what our cryptid friends feel like as our neighbours slowly morph from creatures of fact to mysterious beasts that once existed but are now seldom seen. A cryptid that matches this definition is an animal first spotted in 1669 and described in 1792. Various engravings of it were produced during the 1700s and 1800s. I'm talking about the Javanese Sukotyro. So let's take a look. Welcome to IF, videos on history, mystery and the strange. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video again. Java is a mysterious land, part of the archipelago that makes up Indonesia. It is the fifth largest island that holds 65% of Indonesia's entire population. It is also home to some lesser known residents. Javan rhinos are now listed as critically endangered, with only one known population in the wild. It is one of the world's rarest large mammals. There are between 58 and 68 in the wild, with none living in captivity. Then there is the Javan mouse deer, a species of tiny deer, which, when it reaches maturity, is about the size of a rabbit, making it the smallest living ungulate. The lush jungles of Java providing a home to these and many more animals, not just those expected by mainstream zoology, but also those from cryptozoology. The ahul is said to live in the deepest parts of the jungles of Java, a flying animal with a chimp or bat face, having large dark eyes, red-skinned wings, giant claws on its forearms, and covered in grey fur. A giant flying mammal said to terrorize locals. If we are talking cryptids, there has to be a form of mystery humanoid, and Java has the orang pendek, a small human-like ape, an animal that has allegedly been seen and documented for at least 100 years by forest tribes and local villagers. But let's get back to the Sukotyro. The animal was originally described in 1669 and then again in 1792. Various engravings of the animal were made during this time period and well into the 1800s. Travellers of the island of Java returned home with stories from their trips to Southeast Asia. It was in these tales that they spoke of an animal that does not resemble any known animal, although does have some characteristics to some of the other creatures found on the island. Mainly its heavy rhino-like body, along with its elephantine feet. It has a snout which resembles that of a boar, rabbit-like large floppy ears, a tail said to be hairy, looking like that of a horse or cattle. Those who claimed to see the cryptid reported that its eyes were set high upon its head like those of a hippo, and sticking out just below the eyes, directly from the animal's face, were a pair of large, sharp white tusks. Zoologists in the West took interest in the stories and theorized that the animal could be some type of unknown pachyderm. At one point, a pair of Sukotyro tusks were given to the British Museum of Natural History. They turned out to be horns from a water buffalo. Someone was looking to cash in on the lack of knowledge and evidence for these creatures. Sadly, that's something that still happens today and only serves to bolster the claims of skeptics, but I digress. This cryptid creature is no more easily explained today as it was back then. One idea that many share is that this could potentially be a variant species loosely based on Indonesian tusked animals like the babirusa. The babirusa closely matches the description, and it would seem like a creature of myth if you were to describe it to someone who had not seen one. They have remarkable tusks or canine teeth that grow right up through their skin, in their snout, and curve back toward their head, the word babirusa meaning pig deer in the Malay language. They have barrel-shaped bodies with deer-like legs and bristles all over their skin. They are a dull grey or brownish colour and appear naked or somewhat hairless. They are around 2 feet tall and 3 feet long and can weigh over 200 pounds. There are, however, some differences between the Sukotyro and the babirusa, the ears and feet not being the same, and the tusk would seem to be a differing shape, one having tusks which point forward and the other having tusks which grow back. And finally, there's the size. To further speculate on what the creature could be, we must take into account the extremely rare Javan rhino I mentioned at the start. Could the Sukotyro actually be a kind of rhinoceros? Some have proposed that the animal is descendant from the Chilophyrum. Chilophyrum is a genus of prehistoric rhinoceros that seem to have had a geographic distribution spreading across Asia and all the way up to Eastern Europe, a large hornless animal that did possess large tusks growing from its jaw. Compared with today's rhino, the Sukotyro would be a larger animal with larger tusks that were not as curved, most likely thicker, and growing from the corners of the mouth when it is closed. Read about the theorized existence of this creature and you will find a detailed description of its behaviors. It is claimed that the beast feeds mainly on low-growing plants as opposed to a grazing diet of its ancestor, the Chilophyrum, the teeth showing that it has only recently re-evolved a low browsing tendency. As a result, the Sukotyro is sometimes a mixed feeder, frequenting the more open areas of the forests where smaller plants have grown due to a gap in the canopy. It also enjoys reeds and shrubs. These ideas being based on the described appearance of the animal and what we know about living animals like the rhino and the babirusa. Often it is said that the animal is obviously extremely rare and very elusive. It would also seemingly be restricted to the island of Java, but it may have inhabited other parts of Indonesia in the recent past. Until we find more evidence, we cannot say for sure. However, when we consider some of the other cryptids that are out there, this animal does seem to be a little more on the plausible side. Its body morphology is well within the realms of possibility. It does not display any fantastical abilities, and there is even an animal that highly resembles the beasts found in the fossil record of the region. It could be a long-surviving subspecies of Chilophyrum, an as of yet discovered member of that genus. One thing we must ensure is that if we want to learn what this cryptid is, we must leave it a place to live. In the early 2000s, Java lost approximately 2,500 hectares of forest in a year. Java is currently threatened because there is so little forest left. If the past rate of deforestation continues, less than 10,000 hectares of rainforest will remain on the island, leaving a number of unique and endangered species in deep trouble. We need to stop the deforestation, this to protect the animals we know about and those that we don't. What do you think is the answer for the Sukotyro? A living fossil, an undiscovered species, or just a mythical creature? Let me know in the comments below. And before I go, please everyone take care. I know things are hard at the moment for so many of us. I myself am living under strict quarantine and it's no fun. Think of it this way, if we don't do what is needed to beat this virus, we are at risk of becoming cryptids ourselves. A future intelligence unearthing what is left of us and our civilization, and, who knows, making a video on it much like I am today. All jokes aside, wash your hands, keep your distance, stay home, and if you're looking for something to do, how about watching another one of my over 300 videos? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.